Well, hello. This is my first live stream. This is mostly just a test to make sure that I'm doing it properly and that, well, just this sounds good. I hope that someone will come on to, let me know if it's doing it okay or not. But what I wanted to do is I found this foam sword. Oh, I'm Gridlock Cosplay, by the way. That's the name that I go by for those of you who are joining me without really knowing, uh, that I do cosplay or that of my screen name for cosplay. Anyway, it's Gridlock Cosplay. So anyway, what I'm doing today is I'm just taking this foam sword that I found at the dollar store and I'm going to be modifying it to look more realistic or at least more scary. So I have a list of a few things that we're going to do, and yeah, that's just what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm just going to check some of the things here, make sure that it is working. Okay, good. And I think right now we actually have no one watching, but that's okay. I'm going to do this anyway. Okay. All right, so the first thing that I think I want to do is sharpen the blade. Again, so you can see what I'm going to do here. I already had started to take this off and I thought, hey, I should just do this on screen. So this was attached here. I took that off because I want to maybe grind that down a little bit, roughen it up some because it's just too smooth. I'm not sure if I'm going to do anything to the handle itself, but I'm going to put some decoration on here. This is a little too round for my liking, and yeah, just generally modifying the blade and then doing some paint on it. So. Right, so I see that someone is on, but I don't know who it is. So there's I don't know if you have the live chat there. You can leave a note for me, and I'll check those once in a while, and I'm waiting for things to dry. So first thing is I'm going to start sharpening this blade. Now I do the X-Acto knife, use a box cutter to trim down most of it, and then use my rotary tool for getting it more fine-tuned. Okay. Yeah, I was just in Dollarama the other day, and I can't remember what for, but I picked this up because I thought, hey, for $1.50, that could become a really neat prop. There we go. Okay, so it's just starting to put a bit of an edge onto it. Go the other way. The latest video that I uploaded actually was the one for making the samurai sword, and that was all out of PVC. Believe me, this sharpening foam is much easier. It takes not nearly as long as sharpening PVC. Okay, that's a good start at least. I also didn't like how curved that was, so I might take that down a bit too. So I'm going to turn down the sound a bit so that the rotary tool isn't too loud for you. Oh, we've got 2 people viewing! Yay! Okay. Okay. So I think that's got the blade. Here, let me hold that up for you. A bit sharper, at least good enough for this, for the concept there. I forgot to mention that I already did take off a little bit of the foam here. This was actually a lot further, but since I needed to sharpen the blade, it was just going to be in the way. So I just took my knife and did a cut, and as I tore the foam off, some of it right here, it ripped off a bit, and so the other side I did slower, more carefully. And okay, so now I'm going to use just hand sanding to get it a little bit smoother. Let's see, where are my sanding sticks? So we've got, I just had a light bulb burn out. That's nice. one of my lights just burnt out. Oh no, it didn't burn out. There it is. I have an extension cord, like a power bar, right under my desk here, and or my workbench, and it's the main power for my lights and such, and it just came undone. That's all. Okay. Oh, wrong camera. There we go. Okay. Oh, I had seen some comments on here. Someone had sent something. Nice cutting. Oh, thank you, Amanda. Where are your safety glasses? My safety glasses are over there. I mean, I was totally wearing them. Okay. Yeah, I can't really. I'm brand new at this software. I don't know how I can see who's online unless you leave a comment. Oops. This is kind of similar to doing it with the PVC, but sandpaper takes the edge off a lot faster. All my sanding sticks are worn out. So for those watching, I was just wondering if the audio is synchronized properly, or if it's cutting out, or how's the quality looking so far. The overhead camera is of a lower quality than my front camera, so I do know that. I'm going to have to get a better camera. I'm going to keep doing this. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see if I can show you that. We've got a nice sharp blade on there. Of course, not actually. Once you put paint on it, it does get it a little bit sharper, but still safe for cosplay, I would say. Okay. Kind of wanted to do something there. It's a little too dull. Audio is great. Good. Glad to hear it. Yeah, there's quite the delay between what you guys see and when I'm actually recording it. I think it's about 30 seconds or so. I'm not sure. Yes, I have to switch between my two different screens, my streaming screen and my video controlling screen. So I'll get used to it. All right. What was the next thing I was going to do? Oh yeah. So I don't like how round this ended up being. So I'm going to just cut that off, I think. Same on the bottom. It's a little too round for my liking. All right. Here. My safety glasses. Right, Kevin, that was for you. All right. Okay. So also wanted to put some something more fancy here. This is really thin foam, but I'm going to try doing the cutting, just scoring it to put a pattern in, and then putting the heat gun on to make it separate. Just need a pen here. Okay. So I wanted something kind of like this. Maybe from here to here. I'll have to come out a bit. All right, that's something. Let's give that a try. So I'm just going to go very shallow cut. It's kind of awkward having this all together here. If I was building this from scratch, of course, I would do this before assembling it all. I've never actually done this on 2mm, 2 or 3mm foam before. Usually it's the thicker stuff, there's not much danger in scoring it fairly deeply. Okay, so just a fairly simple cut there. One of the things I did a long time ago is put a hook on my heat gun. Just kind of opened it up, made sure it was safe, put it in here. There's some washers on the inside, so now I can hook it on the I just have a hook on the bottom of my my workbench here. Of course, it helps if I plug it in. Okay. That's a cool thing about foam is that when you make a cut in it like that and then apply the heat gun, it shrinks the foam a little bit and causes the ridge that you cut to separate. So it shows up nicely when you do your painting. If you cut it deep enough. That's going to be kind of subtle, but it's okay. It's a $1.50 craft. Okay, what else did I have on here? Oh yeah, okay, so I have, these are from just a simple little BB gun, a toy BB gun that was used for a different costume. We never actually shot these things out of the gun. I think these would be kind of neat as a little embellishment on there. So what I'm going to do now is just poke a little, a slight indent where I can glue it on. Okay, I think I need to get some crazy glue to get these things to stay on though. Yep, might even want more on there. Next one. This one's not open yet. I honestly have no idea if these are going to stay. I just know that from what I've seen, a lot of people will use super glue on foam for doing foam pieces together, and super glue works on plastic, so I just have to wait for those to set. Maybe I put too much in there, I don't know. Well, there it goes. I think in any case, I'll be putting some sealer on there. That should help glue it in. The thing about doing something live is that when it comes time to wait for the paint or the glue to dry, that's all you can do. I think this one's starting to hold. I think I just got too much glue in the first try. You know, what I can do, I have to try to prop this up somehow. Here, I'll put it over here. And I can work on this guy. I hadn't really decided what I'm going to do with this, but it was just too perfectly round, too spherical. Didn't feel quite right. You know what I should do is look up. I'm just going to look up pirate sword. Well, that's kind of the closest. Oh, I like what that one's doing. Maybe, okay, I have an idea. So I think we'll just take it and cut some grooves out of it like that, just to give it some, I don't know, like almost like an hourglass shape. I should be able to do that with my knife, and then I'll maybe sand it to trim it up. There we go. Oh, yeah. That was nearly done anyway. Gives it a little more dimension than I've had before. It was also fairly off-center. If you can see that there was where the glue went in, and it just wasn't put on properly at all. Okay, let's see how these are doing. Those are on. Okay, good. Good, good. Okay, put that one away. There we go. Try putting it on not quite as much this time. Oh, of course, it all comes out at once. Wonder how many people can tell how Canadian I am by how I say the word out. want to put that on with some contact cement, as is usual with foam, for me anyway. See if this stays. So for those in Canada who are interested in getting into this type of crafting, especially with the EVA foam, what we have here is, oh, of course I can't show you right now, LePage. LePage, you get it at Home Depot. This is about $10 a bottle, or it was the last time I bought. You can get giant bottles too, which save you a lot, but it does tend to dry up sometimes. So I just put on way more than I needed there. There we go. That's the stuff that you want. It's just the small bottle. The how much is this? 237 milliliters. Okay, so that's going to be center right there. Just taking off a bit of the excess. So what do we do while that dries? If I was in the kitchen cooking, this is where I'd start cleaning up. You can speed up the drying process a bit with a heat gun. I try not to do it too much. In fact, usually even with this glue, I'll sometimes leave the pieces overnight. Like I'll get all the pieces coated in the glue and leave them overnight. They don't stick immediately, but as it has been discovered, is that with a heat gun, just for a few seconds, you can reactivate the glue and they stick together right away again. It's like the most valuable thing in crafting with contact cement. Okay, what else did I have on here? Didn't have much else planned for that other than to get a few embellishments on here and sharpen it up. I do want to paint it. However, ideally what I would do is I would cover the whole thing in Plastidip, and that takes a couple, I usually like to leave it a few hours for that to dry. But I don't want this to take that long, so instead I'm going to use some ModPodge to seal it, and then we can paint over that, because EVA foam does like to soak up a lot of the paint. In fact, because I think I'm done on the blade, we can start putting it onto the blade. Yep, I'm done the blade, just making sure. Ugh, this video is like watching paint dry. I know. And don't worry, this does dry clear, or at least clear-ish. But there's going to be paint over it anyway, so. I've tried putting this on as a clear coat over, like after painting, and it does sort of work, but it's not great. Best thing to use is an actual proper clear coat spray. Oh, it's just soaking up the Mod Podge here. And I'm doing it this way to give it a little bit of grain to make it look like it's been sharpened that way. Do all one side first. Yes, it is going to go over this skull and crossbones. But I'm not sure why that's put on the sword in the first place. You can just imagine if people are ever possibly watching this on playback, is that, okay, skip forward, skip forward, skip forward. Well, those BBs are staying on, so that's good. So this glue is almost dry. Let's wait a few more minutes here. Okay. Now I want to be careful with my little indent here because I don't want to fill it in like too much. I'm actually going to take just kind of pulling it out a little bit. It's actually kind of nice because it made some ridges kind of with the Mod Podge. Not sure if it'll stay, but ooh. There we go. All right. Let's get this glued on. Make sure that I get it on straight like this time, not like the manufacturer did. There. Where's the camera? There we go. That's a bit better. See, it's sometimes dangerous for me to go into places like Dollarama because you can get cheap things like this and be like, oh, I could just modify it, like add this little bit to it to make it look so much cooler. And that's how I ended up doing this anyway. Now when it comes to painting, there's one that I'm still going to have to go and find. Oh no, actually, I recently got some metallic paints that I have not tried yet. So maybe I'll put some of that on here. Because, you know, swords being made of metal and all. Amanda says, Dollarama is the best. Really? You've never mentioned that before. I don't know. Dollar Tree's pretty good, right? I'm not sure, but it sounds like it's raining or hailing outside. Could check. I mean, I'm in the garage right now. Just open the door. Okay, almost done with the Mod Podge. And I'm actually going to not do the handle right now, just so that I still have something to grip. And I'm going to do everything else, including the painting, if this dries soon enough. And then I'll just do the handle last. Whatever dollar stores you guys have, wherever you're watching. The main ones here in Edmonton anyway are Dollarama and Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree came later. And doesn't really go to the same standards, I guess. Dollarama is better, that's true. Okay. Looking like we are nearly done here. I actually had to do some crafts while I was setting up here today because of the lighting. You can't quite tell, but I have a light there and a light right there, and I had to build a lampshade for each of them to diffuse the light a bit. Seems to have worked. Okay. I think I've got every bit of this sword covered now. I have to put in the description later saying, if you want to skip all the ModPodge, go to this time. Okay. Just touching up where I see it's a little bit too thick. It's funny, I think the color's gotten more vibrant just from the ModPodge there. Okay, I am just going to go and grab those paints. I know exactly where they are. Oof. Okay. So these were actually from a sale on the second best store, Michael's. This is metallic paint collection. I think, I don't know if it was discontinued, but it's these metallic paints. There we go. And so they got them for $5. I think they were originally $16. So we've got some brass. What is this one? Brass, Olympic gold, and nickel. Okay, so I think we're gonna have to do some brass on the guard, nickel onto the blade, gold. Could probably do those dots, the BBs in gold. Michael's is the second best store. We know this. Okay. I really should rinse out my brush there. I need to get some water. Oh. Okay. Getting it all over my tools. That's nice. Yeah. I guess the most recent addition to my workbench here is actually this cutting board. I saw it at Costco, third best store. I don't know, and it's just this huge cutting board. It's what is it? It's almost 24 inches by 18 inches. Really good for the projects that I have to, the large pieces of foam and other things that I need to cut. As I'm sitting here, I don't normally sit. I'm bumping my extension cords and pulling things out. Still have some spots on the blade here that aren't quite dry. So let's go with the brass. Let's see what this looks like. See? Brand new. Wow. That looks like it could use some more shaking though. Yeah, so often when I've done stuff like this before, I use just the cheaper paint, just the acrylics from Michael's. I really like the tin, and I think, what is this? This is the light silver. This is a good pewter. So I really like these metallic finished ones, but since this one is a higher quality paint, I'm going to use that for this. So the brass is going to be for the handle. And I might end up putting it onto the beads as well, or the BBs, but then painting over them in the gold. Oops. I have my keyboard down beside me, and can switch the camera angles, but I keep pushing the wrong buttons. This is going to need a few coats of this because the blue is really shining through. No surprise, but I might go over the ball on the end here in gold as well. That might be fitting. Oh yes, and the other thing was, if it's vibrant enough, I want to go along the edge of the guard with the gold, just to give it a little more of the accent. With a lot of my other foam projects, I've used spray paint, which, you know, works, and it's much faster, but then you can't use the, it's not as nice to use the acrylic paints on it because it's oil-based and then you have water-based. You can get it to work, but I've not liked it as much. It's one of the things that I have to get out. I got an airbrush not too long ago, but haven't had a good opportunity to use it yet. Don't need to be too careful on the inside. There's no detail to cover up. I think one of the things that I'll do with the handle is paint it a brown to make it look wooden, maybe. Actually, the cool thing to do for that might be to do some sort of leather wrap on it. Might not have time for that in this video today, though. Now this video is like watching paint dry. Now that's dry enough, almost dry enough for a second coat. Let's see, how's the Mod Podge doing here? Still a little bit wet. It started to look kind of cool there. You can see the shine off of the paint. And that's, yeah, that's real shine. Okay, let's get the blade going here. Nickel. Oh. Look at that. I'm just going to put that right onto the blade. No need to waste it. Might actually be all the paint I need. I got some gold brush down here. This actually isn't quite as shiny as I had hoped, or it's not shiny, bright. It's not as light of a color. Just switch to a foam brush here, because it's a lot of area. Okay, well that's spread out. Yeah, I know from experience that the Mod Podge is really helping right now, because ordinarily this paint would just suck right into the foam. In a video from several years ago, I actually added some quick seal to the paint to make the paint a little more flexible, which ended up working fairly well. Don't need it for this type of prop though. There. How's that looking so far? definitely will need a second coat. What I'm going to do is take my light silver afterwards and enhance the sharpened part of the blade. It'll make it look more fresh, like it's been freshly sharpened, and just be a little more, it'll just help give it an accent there too. I'm not seeing too much of a difference between the brass and the nickel yet. I hope that they'll become a little more distinct. But just like this live stream, it's just a test. Have some rough spots on here that I would have taken out if this was actually for a cosplay. But see here, it's just looking a little rough right there. Looks fine on the other side though. The brass is dry. Time to put on a second coat of that. Is it the right brush? Yes, this is the right brush. Okay, after the second coat, that's definitely looking better because I'm not seeing the silly blue come out. Still seeing a little bit, but that's going to really help with the colors being distinct between these different metals. If you can see that, that's looking a whole lot better. So painting another color, like painting the gold on this, should work out well, because it's just paint on paint. It'll keep the blue from shining through. That's why I didn't paint the handle. Oh, looks like I completely missed a spot right here. Well done. Bet you guys all noticed it, and I didn't. Still see, yeah, you can still see the indent on there. Almost looks better on the video than it does in real life. That's nice. Okay. Now I come back to this one again. I'll put the gold onto the. I haven't gotten paint on me. Okay. More nickel. It's dry anyway. There are some spots that are not quite dry. So, speed it up. One of the setups I saw Adam Savage had is with his heat gun mounted to be constantly blowing on what he was working on. So like with his airbrush or stuff, so it would dry instantly. It did have a problem with metallic finish though, or sorry, the chrome finish, and it kind of sabotaged that. But it helps to learn from seeing other people do. This is the nickel, yeah. Guys think I need some music on in the background? Have to write it myself though. Not sure if you'd want that. There we go. The tip didn't quite get as sharp as I wanted. Oh well. I don't know if you can see, we're still showing that Jolly Roger there. A little bit. Okay, aside from the blue handle, it's starting to look a whole lot more realistic than the blue that was there. Okay, as that's dry, I can set it down. Be able to soak my brushes. Actually, I think I'm going to have to put on some more of each of these anyway. Just a glob of paint here. That wouldn't be good for the blade. All right, now we got the gold. We're only going to need the tiniest amount of this. This has often been my weakest point, actually, is painting. Gotta practice it more. Okay, so that's might need another coat, I guess, the same as before, where it just doesn't look like it's that much of a difference. But I guess in something like this, even a subtle difference works. Okay. I'm wondering if I should do the bottom as well. Maybe I'll just do the insides here. See how that looks. Yeah. There. Yeah, that's coming together. By the way, before I do finish here, I want to say thank you to those who have watched the whole time. I know that you're just doing it to support me. I appreciate it. At least until I get more interesting. All right. Okay. So the last touch on here, aside from the handle, which I'll actually be doing off camera later, is like I said, adding the accent to the sharpened part of the blade. Okay. It's cold in here. Need to blow my nose. Pardon me. Right. So sometimes this this light silver is a little bit much. I'd not like to mix it with a little bit of black or tin, but I'm going to go bold here. Oh, yeah. That's more like it. Okay. this paint is starting to dry out a little. It's a bit older. I'm putting it on fairly thick so that it does have that grain to give it a more a little bit more of a jagged edge, to at least look a bit more scary. So that really helps accent. It is still wet, but that is the difference that it makes on there. Like that's yeah, what we're seeing on the camera there is pretty accurate. And because it is also a metallic finish, it does still have that shine to it. The texture is going to take a little bit longer to dry though. If I can hold this yet. Yeah. Looks great. Amanda says, it looks great, Kevin. All it needs is a touch of rust. Oh, yes. That's, if I have enough time, I wasn't planning on going more than 2 hours here. But I can add some rust and some dirt and such. This just all has to dry first, and that's pretty important. I'd only need one layer of this silver because it's really just an accent. Okay. Just clean up a little bit here. Let's see, do I need any more? You know, I think I'm going to leave that as it is. I don't think I need any more paint, any other layers at least. That's looking a whole lot better than it did before. Okay. Yeah, it might need it. It could use a little bit more gold, but even the blue shining, like coming through, makes it look a little bit like it's tarnished even. Oh yeah, I was going to put on a little bit more of the gold. That's all. And then after the gold, I'm going to make sure the whole thing is dry and then start doing some weathering on it. Now I didn't put anything on like battle damage aside from the rough sharpening, but I'm going to put on some grime and let's see, some rust. What can I do for rust? One thing that I have seen some people do is actually use a grit of some sort and put it into their paint, and it gives it more of a texture, more of a rusty texture. aside from just the color. Okay. Yeah, okay, so 2 coats of this metallic paint really helps more than, like, after the first one doesn't look very impressive, the second is a whole lot better. There we go. Okay. I was getting a lot of paint all over me just from the inside here, but that seems to have dried now. So, go. I'm happy with how that's coming along. Yeah. So just thinking what I'm going to do here is I will have to do the handle. Actually, I'm going to think more about what I'll do about the handle. And I'm going to be adding some rust and aging onto this, but I'm going to do that in another session so that just so that the paint does dry completely, and yeah, it'll be a better base to go on, because for putting the aging on there and the grime and stuff, I use watered down black paint and then I dab it off, and I don't want to accidentally pull off the coat of paint that I have on here. So I'm going to let this part cure, and then we'll go from there. So there we go. Let's there it is so far, and yeah, I'll do another live stream now that I know that this works. I'm not sure if I'll do it tomorrow or maybe next weekend, but yeah, there it is. So thank you for joining me for my first live stream, the first test of it. I'm glad everything seems to have worked out. I'm amazed by the technology today, and yeah, so I hope this has I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope that it may have inspired someone to do a simple craft, especially since something like this, I mean, $1.50 at Dollarama, it's a very cheap craft, a cheap way to enhance something and make it your own. And that's pretty much why I did this, is just to, you know, because I knew I could make it better. But I also hope that at least one person is inspired to do this themselves and join or continue in the world of cosplay. So thank you very much for watching. I'm Gridlock Cosplay, and I'll see you all later. Bye.